Did you get your results of that Briggs-Meyer test? Did you get your results?
He's a mediator.
You're a mediator,
Yeah,
right?
you were
Okay.
there when I did it.
Well, I forgot your results. Okay.
I
remember
don't
you
think
getting
that was a fair test.
I thought you answered the questions very accurately, but I didn't think that the results kind of like encapsulated you.
I felt like I was affected by everybody at the table. You know?
No, I was sitting there very passively.
I know, but I'm just my own.
You mean everybody else?
I meant everybody but you.
Yes, thank you.
Where were you guys when you conducted the test?
Beelman's Bar.
Okay.
And Dan, you want to explain what we're talking about to everybody else in the room?
Is it Briggs-Meyer or Myers-Briggs? Myers-Briggs. I think all the kids know about it now. I think they kind of like some people they'll put their signifiers on their dating profile, which I thought about that and I was like, yeah. I thought I went through a cycle. I was like, well, I would love to know yours before a blind date with you because not to like stack the deck, but to actually just be like, oh, why? You could actually the equivalent of like a failed first date could be actually created by reading for 20 minutes, like kind of like, oh, this is a different personality. This person actually blah blah blahs, and that maybe then if you were down with that, then you could show up to the first date more prepared to have it not be a disaster because you'd be like, well, I already know that that there's such a thing as a person in the world that, believe it or not, isn't that interested in this or that or whatever. But then I thought about it more and I was like, I don't know. I think there's too many dishonest people in the world. So like who wants, like, I think what's most valuable is maybe doing your own thing and knowing who you are, but then putting it out on a satellite dish for other people. It's just like, I think it also, there's like crazy people that would like, they'd take the test and they'd go, I'm a thingamabob. And then they'd be so into it that they would like, fuck those people.
Dan, you took the test?
Yeah.
And what was the result?
I am an IN. Wait.
I thought we did yours, and you're the butt master.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
the butt,
yeah.
I'm the butt master.
That's it. You're the butt master.
Well, I remember I'm a logician. I can't. I think it's like IN TP. Is that? Yeah.
What is that? What?
Introvert, narcissist,
Poopy pants.
toilet paper.
Toilet paper. You're an introverted, narcissistic toilet paper.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say for my
that's
money,
the butt master.
because I remember when I remember getting a link to take it years ago. I remember taking it, and I remember getting same result, the logician. And I looked at it a little bit, and I was busy at the time, and I was like, sounds like me, but whatever. Sort of horoscopes by. And then Cody sent me a link a couple weeks ago, and I did it again. And that's why I remembered, because I was like, this sounds familiar. I got the same thing. And then on top of that, when she told me what hers was, that's when I momentarily was like, oh, wait a minute. This is like horoscopes, because I also remember the campaigner. Why do I remember that so vividly? But it turns out the reason I do is because she also took it years ago and got that same result. So both Cody and I have taken it twice, several years apart, and gotten the same personality category by taking the test.
What does yours mean? What is it? Logicians? What is it?
Logician.
Logician.
Logical.
Lazy magician.
You're a lazy
that's
magician.
It's just logical.
I'm gonna leave a rabbit in my hat.
We might get her out of this water, or we'll just come back and see if she swims.
I'm gonna saw a lady 1/3 the way through.
Pick a card. Tell me what card it is. Oh, look, you're a magician.
Yeah.
It's very accurate. I can't remember most of it. I just remember going, wow, that's me. I mean,
So you're logical. That's it.
Well, it's not that simple. I mean, it's not. It's more like a value placed on the idea of logic, which can like make for a very emotional person. Like I think logicians are actually given to tantrums a little bit more because they don't know how to handle their actual feelings, because they actually do believe and practice the idea that there is such a thing as truth, and that truth is more important than everything else. And that, but also like very, I was happy to see. I was like, yeah, I've always felt that way about myself. That I'm, like that like in spite of this very like meritocracy kind of mind, which you now we've come to associate with this sort of like kind of creepy archetype online. Like you just don't even want to hear that word right now. But within that, the idea of like being truly open to, like you don't care about hierarchy. You really would prefer things to be on a flat plane, and so that you could just be extraordinary at your own thing, and everybody else could too, and kind of like that the truth would out and everybody would improve themselves and stuff. And then along the way, some like very like like things, the downsides that are typical are like, okay, this is not a person that is like always thinking about your feelings when they're talking, because they're trying to get their thoughts straight. They're very comfortable going off half cocked. They'll figure it out as they're talking, and like they love explaining, and they want to create a system and stuff, and they believe the universe is a system and there's something to figure out. And then creatively for that reason, like endless revisions and never ending like not finishing of projects and stuff, which was kind of a bummer. I mean, how do you feel when you, just in general, when you, the idea of like, oh, there's 16 personalities, here's yours. I think the effect on me was sort of like a simultaneous kick in the nuts and lifting up. So not contradictory, just kicked in the nuts so hard that you're lifted up. A teeter-totter. Because it's like, on one hand, you are what you are, and it's kind of, because I think everybody wants to be special for the purpose of contributing. Everybody wants to be special so that they can fit in.
Isn't that crazy? People really do want a job.
What about
Someone said, what about Wonder Woman?
what about
I love it.
I did forget
That's
her.
so spiteful that everybody laughed at him saying Wonder Woman so much more than her back there. They were just like, Wonder Woman.
Let that be a lesson. Yeah.
That's
Pick
how
your
you're-
moment.
That's the funny way of doing it.
Right. Don't stand up and walk up to the stage.
But it is an interesting concept, right? That like you get the Woody from Toy Story kind of thing of like, that idea of finding out that you're unremarkable in a certain sense, that there are others of you, that you're a category.
Don't look at me, man.
It can be, I think what we see, we see that's what the internet has given us, is like the idea of no matter how fringe you are, there's always going to be at least 500 other people out there somewhere. And now you don't have to get in a plane to find them. And that's uplifting always. Like, oh, who else here? I just watched the Flat Earth documentary. Have you guys watched it?
I started watching it, but I didn't get it all the way through.
It's a little less heartbreaking and shitty than you might think it is, because I know that like basically probably all flat earthers. like I remember on this podcast I would always be like, flat earthers are basically heroes, right? Because how could you commit to that and then like everything else, the election changed everything, because it was just sort of like, oh, this is just another expression of anti-intellectual revolution, and like I'm not charmed by it anymore. But it's worth watching. It's a charming documentary. It's there's some uplifting parts to it too that do feel like actually actionable items on especially for people who look the scientific community, kind of like the idea that maybe it's important that it's not scientific to ridicule people. it accomplishes nothing. If your scientific goal is for people to value science, and you know that you live in a world where, for whatever reason, there are people who are pushed so far away that they're in a dark, dirty corner making up their own science, that you got to know scientifically that you're never going to bring them back by laughing at them. Not that they're not funny, and it's but if that's your goal, if it's your goal to bring them back, then you got to know as a scientist that the way to bring them back is you're going to have to go way more than what's fair in their direction. Like, they're not going to meet you halfway. As one of them, there's a guy that's interviewed in it who's Spiros something. He's a physicist at Caltech that I recognized him because I was on a panel with him at a Rick and Morty kind of science panel.
Science panel?
I know, yeah. But he was he had such a cool, like so many cool things to say. A lot of the scientists in the documentary have it's like oh, there's this evolution that's being forced upon us, where it's like, hey man, like, okay, so now we've got this other danger. There's going to be people that are going to be so, like, Revenge of the Nerds happened, it's over. The nerds are in control now. There's like people gathering in little clusters who are suffering from confirmation bias and whatever it's called, Kepler, Alan Parsons Project disorder, whatever that Dunning-Kruger effect.
Bachman Turner overdrive.
And the documentary does a really good humanizing job of illustrating that absolutely perfectly, like showing their little meats and like editing it in such ways where you just everything kind of becomes really clear and humanizes everybody. And there's scientific communities where it's like the woke version of being a scientist now is like they're is talking to each other, scientists that are qualified, that know everything, talking to each other and saying, what are we going to do about these guys? They're not going away. They're not enchanted by us. They're waiting for everyone to get so into fucking logic that they flock to us.
I love,
not
like,
working.
On Twitter, Professor Brian Cox, he'll engage with some flat earthers once in a while, and it's hilarious because he just shows them images and shows them like and it just gives them a reason, but they only see that reason and that logic as proof.
Yeah.
That there's something to fight against.
There's a really great sequence in this documentary where they one of the scientifically minded people is explaining the difference between, this point A to point B scientific process, where as much as none of us want to be wrong, if you're a true scientist, you're like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and kind of moving forward to whatever conclusion is actually there. And then him breaking down the very common reverse of that process, where you've decided what your conclusion is and how you kind of weed things out and backwards paint this arrow from B to A. And while he's explaining that, they're editing it with a conversation with a wonderful, charming human guy that I don't want to see suffer. It was explaining that they're so into flat Earth that they bought a $20,000 gyroscope. They raised the money because they knew that if the Earth really was round, that you should be able to get a gyroscope that would register a 15 degree per hour shift in the tilt or whatever. And those things are really expensive, so they raised the money and they get this $20,000 gyroscope in the mail, and they open it up, and as soon as they open it up, they turn it on and it's registering a 15 degree an hour shift, and then they start putting it in different containers made of different things to shield it from the glass dome above us. And so he's explaining that process, which is an adventure to him, an adventure that starts with like I know what windmill is what, but they're editing it back and forth with someone explaining this is how this works. Like you know that the Earth is flat, so now getting this gyroscope is just. It's like the Joker escaping from Arkham. It's like a job to do. You've got to figure out how to defeat him. And so they're trying to figure out, and that reminds them of experimentation and science, and it's because it looks the same thing, but what you're doing is like that guy is like he's at these meetups, and he's having these like private conversations over in the corner of the bonfire party, and he's kind of explaining to somebody like, yeah, it's I'm not gonna bring up the gyroscope this year at Flat Earth Con. It's a big
kind of a bugbear.
Yeah.
We're
gonna do some more experiments, and
I brought it up before. I won't repeat it, but like I had a Lyft driver, and he was a flat earther, and I asked him 20 questions. He gave me 20 answers that he had ready to go.
What were all of them? Number one. Here's the number one.
The top 5 flat Earth.
Starting with number 20, going to number 1. Number 20 coming in.
We've done this before, but like
not all 20 of them. Here we go. 20 questions and answers about flat Earth.
He was an intelligent guy, but I was like,
number 20.
You're using navigation right now on your phone to get me from Meltdown to the drawing room.
Flat screen.
He had
Flat screen.
Number 19.
One of the more fascinating things is, of course, as you might expect, the division. Like you have all the solidarity, but then the divisions, the infinite plane people from the pheasant under glass people. I don't know how they differentiate, but like there's like. As soon as you become a prominent flat earther and you have a podcast that like people follow, now you're a dispenser of information, which by virtue of the same kind of oppositional defiant like engine that's powering the religion of the group. And I would say if you're a woman and if you're reasonably attractive, like this one woman is in this thing, like she's easy on the eyes, and she has like a Skype podcast with this other guy who's like, who literally lives in his mom's basement, but you don't really like hate these people. You're just sort of like, oh, you guys are cute. And because they're good natured. I mean, they just happen to think the earth is flat and they're truly dedicated to it. But like the crazy thing is like then the brief dip they take into the dark forest of, okay, here's what it's like to be a woman and be a flat earther. Because immediately, the last 3 letters of her first name are CIA because she's Patricia. So I mean, she's just asking for it. Her last name is Steer, so she's clearly a honeypot that's been sent to seduce flat earthers and steer them the wrong way toward the NASA governed thing. Like everybody's a robot and everybody's.
What's the first day of conspiracy factory office or whatever? Like, okay. All right, what's your name? We got to change that. We got to what we gonna do? I'm thinking Steer because you're going to be Steer. Like, why would you do all?
That's
of
always
that?
that's such an important linchpin to conspiracy theory universe is that the Illuminati love bragging, because if they didn't love bragging, so much of this shit wouldn't make sense at the end of the day. You're like, why would they put the ghost in Tom Selleck's living room in 3 Men and a Baby? Because they're trying to tell us. They want us to know. Why would they let this copy of Back to the Future get out if it's crawling with 9/11 predictions?
This movie is crawling with 9/11.
Because the whole point is to do 9/11 right in front of you. It makes the 9 and the 11 so delicious that you knew about it. It's like when you soak a tortilla chip in the salsa.
If I'm repeating a thing from previous podcasts, then fuck it. But Rob, I told the driver, I go, okay, because I said, but why do we see eclipses as a circle on the moon? Like because we're all it's just flat discs that are casting shadows and things. I said, but like every time, like why is it a curve and this? And he had an answer it was a bullshit answer, but he had an answer. And I said, let's say you and I stood 100 miles apart on the equator and walked due north. I'm saying that at one point you and I would meet each other because we live on a sphere. And he goes, no, we would keep walking straight. I go, and then what would happen at the end? He goes, I said, would we fall off? And he goes, no, because there's a ridge at the end and you can't fall off. I'm like,
it's ice. It's a wall of ice around them.
That's dumb. And I said, I said, oh, you're a moron. And I laughed. He goes, I said, no, I'm sorry, you're not a moron. I go, but seriously, what do you think would happen? He goes, I said, I'm going to fly you and me. We're going to be 100 miles apart on the equator and walk north. He goes, if you pay for it, I'll do it.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you. And now he's in Barbados having the fucking time of his life.
What would it take for you to believe in the round Earth? Chicken cacciatore.
Man.
If you like pina coladas.
I guess you're right, man. Let's do it again next summer.
Some of these guys.
Thanks for the hotel.
Some of them
you bought me a hotel,
like the gyroscope guy, and then they have another experiment that they're doing in it throughout the movie where they're like, look, we're so convinced, and they come up with a scientific idea. We're going to take 3 beams. We're going to put them, they found a place where, we got 3.8 miles of space to play with here. We're going to put 3 beams equidistant from each other along this 3.8 mile stretch. 3.8 miles will equate to a certain amount of a curvature within that
a certain
space.
Degree of curve, yeah.
But they're going to prove that curvature doesn't exist by taking a laser and shining it through 3 holes on these things, and if the middle one is they ain't going through, the Earth ain't flat. And so and then they cut to like a scientist like hearing about that. Like they just described the thing, and he's like, okay, well, is it okay, all right, yeah, they're fucked. Like he's kind of like, yeah, no, actually, it sounds like they're in trouble. That's a real experiment that you can do. They're going to prove that the Earth is round accidentally, and they're going to be bummed out. And I won't spoil it, but it is kind of interesting.
Spoilers: the Earth is round. Yeah.
It's kind of like not entirely there's like so many different camps and like even just sort of culturally, and that can't. It's not as much as I thought it would be, or where it's just like, I'm going to sharpen my Bowie knife and blame the Jews for everything, and it makes me feel empowered to do the scientific equivalent of saying, I don't know that. You don't know that. I didn't do, And it's like, there's a lot more joy, and for some of the people who are like the engineers, they're out there doing these Boy Scout experiments. But the only thing about it is that they're not gonna take no for an answer. They're gonna there's a very interesting analysis of that concept too, like where it's like, what would you actually do? Because these guys, they have award shows. They give each other awards. They're experiencing joy. They're experiencing.
I wish a cult would take me. That's the joy, is you see these groups together. Like if you not that Comic-Con is similar, but it is similar in that you will see people together that you would never see together, and it's a great thing. So like I hear you on like, you don't want to wake them up.
Yeah. But then the documentary does take responsibility with some minor piano chords at a certain point when it touches on like these people have children, and that's not funny. It's not fun. It's like it's cute. You get caught up in like, this is cute, and then it's like the children,
it's like an American movie with what's his name, Borchert or
I did think of that in my head. I was thinking about that.
Like, oh, this is awesome. This guy just wants to make movies. Then second act or third act, oh, he has 3 children.
He has like 9 or something. I was like, yeah.